Hello there, world. Snipe you out here with a second deck tech. We're going to be talking about the enchantment deck, the black-white deck. Going to be running standard for quite a while, this deck, because it's mostly Nyx. And any cards that aren't Nyx, you can swap them out with anything else. There's nothing too crazy in this deck that can't be swapped out. But we're going to start with the land base. We're going to be running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 planes. Nothing too crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 swamps. We're running more swamps even though we have more white cards because the black cards usually need 2 devotion on the field for most of them, which is aggravating if you don't draw the swamps, which is I've remedied with 2 Godless Shrines, so a couple of shock lands and 1 Cave of Koilos, which, it helps when you need it to. If you don't draw it, then it kind of sucks. But I'm still working on the land base. For the most part, it runs very smooth unless, like I said, you don't get 2 swamps. But if your opening hand is 2 swamps, then you can play anything from the deck. Going into our 1-drops, we have Mortal Obstinacy. So, enchantment, 1-drop, gives the enchanted creature +1/+1. The only reason it's in the deck is so that you can have another enchantment on the field for some of the later cards that we're going to be talking about. Going into the 2-drops, we have a Brain Maggot. For the 2-drop to steal something from someone's hand, it helps often whenever you get it opening hand. I'd like more of them in the deck, but at the same time, I don't like clogging up the deck with what the deck isn't about. But at the same time, it's an enchantment creature, so it helps the deck. Another 2-drop, we have Sign in Blood. So, draw 2 cards, target player draws 2 cards, then loses 2 life. There's a fun combo in this deck with another card with that helps, pop them out for 4 life, but they get to draw a couple cards. So if you're running a little slower than you'd like to be, you can kind of hit them with that combo towards the end game. Next 2-drop, 4 of these bad boys, 4 Nyx-Fleece Rams. For 2-drop 0/5 without Defender, there's ways to buff it in this deck. So that you can swing in with it. It's a lot of fun to gain 1 life every turn, just so anything they do, you can kind of just let them hit you. If you have 2 or 3 Nyx-Fleece Rams out at the beginning of all your turns, you're going to be gaining all the life back anyways. Another 2-drop we got is an instant. Reprisal, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. I'm thinking about taking this one out just because it's power 4 or greater and not, destroy target creature, which we do have some more removal in this deck, but a lot of people might be swinging in with smaller creatures, which is always aggravating when you have that in your hand and you can't do anything with it. But you can sideboard it in case someone's, getting slick with you, dropping big creatures. You can always sideboard it in. If someone's hitting you with small creatures, sideboard it out. We're running 2 Aegis of the Gods. So he gives you hexproof, which is fun if you're up against another enchantment deck. So their enchantments aren't really doing anything to you. If you're running up against like burn decks, they can't really burn you with anything. They'll usually burn him out real quick. There's another card in the deck that'll make him so he can't leave the field essentially, and it's a lot of fun to mess with red decks with that. Simple 2-drop card, Aegis of the Gods. Another good card, Underworld Coinsmith. We're running 3 of him. So every time you play an enchantment from the deck, you're gaining 1 life. So if you have 2 of him out and you have 2 Nyx-Fleece Rams, you're pretty much just in this life gain loop where no matter what you play from the deck, you're going to be gaining life. It's a lot of fun to play the combo. If you get him out early enough, he'll really help, even though he's a 2-drop 2/2. He really does get the deck moving quickly. This is Archetype of Courage. He gives everybody in the deck first strike, and your opponent can't have or gain first strike, which is he's a sideboard card in case that you're being overwhelmed by someone hitting you with the small, like the little death touch creatures. If you're up against a black rat deck or anything like that, he's the answer to that. I don't know if I like him so much. The 3-drop 2/2 he doesn't move the deck too much. The only reason why he's in here right now is because he is an enchantment creature. So when you're playing the 4 Grim Guardians that you have, he's going to be dealing out damage like crazy. Like I said, Grim Guardian, he's a 3-drop 1/4, so he's a nice little wall, and every time you play an enchantment, you're going to be dealing 1 damage to your opponent. So every time you play a card from the deck, you're just hitting them and slapping them around. It's a lot of fun, because people really haven't, they've heard about the enchantment deck, but they haven't seen it work yet, and this deck has top 8'd a couple times for FNMs, and people just don't really know what to do with it. They either have sideboard for it, most people don't. They don't have like the destroy all enchantments or destroy target enchantment cards. So it's kind of aggravating when you're up against, well, aggravating for them when they're up against the deck and they don't have anything to sideboard in. I mean, the only problem I've ever had is a red deck had to do a 15 card sideboard just because they were so unprepared for the deck that they had to overhaul their burns for it. But like I said, that's the only loss the deck's really had. We're running 2 Banishing Lights, so another enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you banish another card from the game until it leaves the battlefield. So it's funny because it says permanent. So I've had someone play Elspeth on me, and they were like, you know, the game's pretty much over. Did you want to concede? And I was like, no, I'll go one more turn. I Banishing Lighted their Elspeth, and then I wiped their field with Extinguish All Hope. So I flipped the game. I flipped the game a couple times, you know, knocking people's cards out, just their permanents. So you can do it to non-land. Yeah, you can do it to their enchantments. You can do it to their Banishing Light to get your card back in case someone's running a Banishing Light against you. You can do it to their Planeswalkers, all their fun stuff that they have to mess with you. The next card, 3 drops, we're going into Master of the Feast. He's a 3-drop 5/5 enchantment creature. They get to draw an extra card at the beginning of your upkeep, but that doesn't matter if they're running like a black deck with Night Veil Specters. This is the answer to that. On turn 3, they're dropping a 2/3. On turn 3, you're dropping a 5/5 with flying. So he's got the evasion for flying. If they have no answer for flying, that's how you win the games. Another 3/3 we're running, obviously, in a 3-os. Just one, because it's usually hard enough for people to get rid of him, and every time one of your creatures dies or leaves the battlefield, they have to pay 3 life unless if they want it to come back into your hand. So when they finally do get rid of the Master of the Feasts, it's either coming back to your hand or it's hitting them for 3. So a lot of fun with that card. We're running 1 Spear of Heliod. Just like I said, the deck is mostly enchantment, so every time you play something from the deck, it's just going to be dealing damage to Grim Guardian or whatever you have out. You're going to be gaining life because of it. They're losing life because of it. So Spear of Heliod gives everyone +1/+1, and you can tap 3, and anything that's dealt you damage this turn is destroyed, which a lot of people don't know the cards. They won't ask to read it. They just think that it's getting +1/+1. But they'll swing in with something and you'll destroy it, so that's a lot of fun. We're running 1 Brimaz. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Brimaz is, but if you don't, you really need to read up on your white cards because this thing is a beast. When he swings in, you put a 1/1 token out swinging with him. He's a 3/4 3-drop with Vigilance. So there's like, the deck is only running 1 of him because if someone's wiping out all your enchantments constantly, they don't see it coming. Because you usually won't play him the first game. When they sideboard in a bunch of stuff, second game you whip them out and they don't know what to do against him because they were ready for an enchantment deck. So just 1 Brimaz. You can sideboard him in and kind of swap him in during second game if you want, because he's a lot of fun to surprise people with. Another 3-drop we're running is Gift of Immortality. So whenever the equipped card leaves the battlefield or is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, it gets played again straight from the graveyard, and then Gift of Immortality comes back equipped to it at the beginning of your next step, the beginning of the next end step. So it's a lot of fun to see them go, you know, he's got Brimaz out, let me kill it with something, but you get Gift of Immortality on it. Now he's an enchantment creature that you're not going to destroy with your Extinguish All Hopes. It's just a lot of fun. It's a fun little combo card, but you can always take it out. It's just in there so when you play it, you know, you're dealing damage. You can equip it to your Grim Guardian, so your Grim Guardian's constantly dealing damage. So when they kill Grim Guardian or you kill Grim Guardian, he goes out, he comes back, he deals another 1 damage. Gift of Immortality comes in, he deals another 1 damage. It's a fun combo. This card, Fiendslayer Paladin, he can't be targeted by red or black spells. So if you're up against a black deck, he's a 3-drop with First Strike and Lifelink, so all you're really doing against the black and red decks is just constantly swinging in, because he doesn't have protection from them, but he can't be targeted by the spells. I don't like that wording. I would have really liked protection from red and black, but Fiendslayer, so 3-drop, 2/2, good card. Nothing crazy out of him. He hasn't won me any games, but like having him out against some of the black decks, that lifelink really will get you up there. Like I said before, I'm not a big fan of Planeswalkers because they don't do too much, but I have 2 Planeswalkers in this deck just to really mess with people. I have a Ajani, Collar of the Pride, just to put the 1/1 counters, and just to get someone off of you if they're constantly attacking you, and getting rid of all your cards. You put out Ajani and you beef up your Nyx-Fleece Rams, or you beef up your other cards, and then they have to focus on Ajani, which is fun to get them off you for a couple turns, because all you need is 2 or 3 turns to get ahead in this deck. The second Planeswalker we're running is Gideon, the Champion of Justice. The only reason why I'm playing him is so that when I do get Ajani out, I have something else that they have to target either before or after Ajani, before they can start swinging on me. So Gideon's a lot of fun. I mean, you can take both of them out. The deck will run perfectly smooth without them. A couple other cards we're running is Heliod's Emissary. Again, another enchantment creature. You play it and you're dealing damage or you're gaining life because of it. He's a 3/3. He's okay, but whenever you swing in with him, you're tapping down one of your opponent's creatures, so it's just like a nice little card to have out. You can bestow him for 7. It's a costly bestow, but if you bestow him onto Brimaz, then Brimaz is a 6/9 with whenever he swings in, you're tapping down an opponent's card and you're getting a 1/1 token, so it's a lot of fun like messing with some of the combos in the deck. We do have removal in this deck, in case you're wondering. Silence the Believers. I was running 4 in this deck initially, but you don't really need it. You're just overwhelming them with all the combos. You can run 4 of these and take out all the other cards I said that are coming out of standard, but Silence the Believers works extremely well. You can strive it for 3 and destroy extra creatures. If you have enough mana on the field, you can wipe out their whole field with 1 card late game. We're running 4 Fate Unravelers. So she's a 4-drop enchantment creature again. She's a 4-drop 3/4, and whenever your opponent draws a card, she's dealing them 1 damage. If you can get out all 4 Fate Unravelers and then force them to Sign in Blood, so Sign in Blood is going to deal them 2 damage. They're drawing 2 cards, and then they're taking 4 damage from all the Fate Unravelers. It's a quick hit for 6, forcing them to draw out. You can run the deck off that combo if you want. You can even build a deck around that combo, the 4 Fate Unravelers, forcing them to draw out their deck. The deck isn't based around that combo. The deck is strictly based around, you're lasting yourself till turn 5 or 6 when you're playing some of the next cards I'm going to be talking about, which is just wiping out your opponent's field and just completely obliterating them and aggravating people at the same time. I'm running 1 Congregate right now just because the deck is running smoothly, but the burn decks will they'll get ahead of you real quick. So if you can Congregate on them and gain that life back that they've been lightning striking you, burn decks, the biggest thing you can do against them is gain all the life back that they've been hitting you with, because once they run out of cards, they're out of steam and that's it. They lose the game themselves. We're running 3 Doomwakes. So he's a lot of fun for a 4/6. He's got Constellation like everyone else in the deck, so whenever him or another enchantment enters your battlefield, he's giving all your opponent's creatures -1/-1. If you get 2 Doomwakes out and then you start playing more enchantments, they're all getting -2/-2. You get all 3 Doomwakes out. Every time you play a card from the deck, they're getting -3. So as soon as you play him, if you're up against a token deck, while the tokens of the field are dead, or you play him and then next turn you play another one, any 2/2s that are on the field are dead. It's real. He's a real beast if you can play him and then play some of your weaker enchantments after him, just to buff your field up. The last couple cards I'm going to be talking about is Skybind. Now, I just got this card, which it's a funny card. It's got Constellation, so whenever this or another enchantment enters the battlefield, you exile a non-enchantment permanent until the end of the next end step, and then you bring it back. So it's a funny card. If they have something big on their field, you play this for 5. It's a real funny, it's a finicky situational card where if they've got something big that they keep hitting you with, You exile it, you swing in, it'll come back. You exile it, you swing in, it'll come back. Like I said, weird card. I like it in the deck though because it'll be dealing the damage with the Grim Guardians and everything. The last card from the deck is going to be Extinguish All Hope. Destroy all non-enchantment creatures. There's 3 of them in the deck just because like it really gets the job done. But that's the deck. I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to subscribe and like. You know, if you did, if you didn't, go ahead, dislike it. Tell me what you thought about it, and have a great day.